Here he is.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. How are you?
Doing very well, mate. Doing very well. Just close the door.
Yeah, mate. I'm exactly the same. So I've got my my missus and my daughter playing in the living room.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Which one?
Screaming.
Yeah. Well, I've got. Yeah. No. All good, man. All good. Crazy times.
How are you finding lockdown? You strike me as somebody who's probably not great in lockdown.
I'm all right. I'm okay. I mean, I think people have it a lot more difficult than I do. So I'm just trying to keep busy. You know, just trying to keep positive. You know.
How long have you been self-isolating or in lockdown?
Well, I mean, the thing for me is I'm trying to, because you know, I can't really stay in one place too much. So I'm running around, and my mum lives about 10 minutes from me, so I'm dropping her stuff, then dropping a few of her friends' stuff. I've volunteered on this NHS app, but nothing's come through yet. I'm sort of like checking it every minute. I'm just like, come on, I just want to get out of the house, have an excuse. I think we've been indoors just since the Monday when they said we had to be indoors. We were actually in the country until then, getting a last bit of freedom. But yeah, no, it's been all right, mate. It's been fine, to be honest. It's kind of some much appreciated time with my family, yeah, I mean, look, it's obviously not great for boxing at the moment, but we'll be back. It's just more important things at the moment, you know, for people to deal with, and you know, it's some scary stuff. Matthias Masternak.
Masternak. He can fight.
Yeah, I think he just popped up. You got to explain how all this stuff works, man. This is my first live Instagram video, you know.
Yeah, I've been billing you as like a forward-thinking promoter of the new digital age. And
fuck it now. Yeah, no. Well, this Zoom thing. Yeah, one thing I have to say is the whole conference calling, this Zoom. I don't know if you've been on Zoom, or maybe I'm sounding like a fucking dinosaur. Sorry, can I swear on? I'm not swearing. I apologise. Look. This Zoom is unbelievable to keep in touch with employees and whatever else going on. It actually feels like you're in the office with them. I think one thing that might suffer coming out of this will be offices. Like you're sitting there. I'm sitting in my home office. I feel like I'm connected with the world, and I've got everyone in the, you know. It feels very natural. It's a lot better than, I mean. What's it called? Skype. I mean, Zoom is sensational. So it's something new from the digital age to teach you today.
Yeah, well, we've been okay, really. We tend to have just still kept it to either phone calls or Google Hangouts. But
what is Google Hangout?
Google Hangout is it's all the same stuff, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I've got the house party app. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's been like that only really I heard about that when we were in lockdown, so I bet the app creators are pretty happy with that. Well, yeah.
But
yes, anyway, let's get on with some boxing talk. As I mentioned at the start, we've got one of the leading promoters in European boxing, so let's get some European style questions coming in. Would be great. Okay, here's a fun one to start us off with from Tom Lyons. Ask Nisse who gets the edge in Monopoly, him or Kalle?
Yeah, you know, probably my brother, to be honest. He's a terrible loser. I remember growing up, we used to have like full on fights over like Monopoly, anything like that. You know, it's like literal brawls, even up till we're like 18, 19. So it's yeah. But then we're like mates 2 minutes later. So it's you know, yeah. I think my brother probably definitely gets the edge, just because I'm a little bit scared of his reaction if I do win.
What was it like? So for people won't know about this because it's still not been released, to my shame. But me and Nisse did a really good podcast which I know they're desperate for it to come out, and it will come out.
I'm not desperate. I had to trek across half of London to do this podcast.
So do you know what happened with that podcast? So we did a podcast. It was a great podcast. So the camera was set up too low. So you know when you go to the fairground when you're a little kid, and you stand and you see those mirrors that contort what you look like. That's what we looked like. So, but I will be releasing it as an audio version. But basically, what I was saying about that is, we spoke in there about kind of growing up with Kalle. You're two. What word should I use here? You're two boisterous men when the mood hits, should we say? What was it like growing up with Kalle? Because you grew up in London, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in London for best part of 35, 36 years. What was it like? It was, look, we've always, at school we were always very close. We've always been close. We've always had a very good relationship. Of course, being two guys who like boxing, and I'll say for my part, especially growing up, I was I was a bit of a thug. I like to fight. I still listen. If I'm honest with you, I get excited if I see a fight on the street. So, so I used to enjoy getting involved in fights, and my brother used to as well. We used to just always, have, till about 18, 19, we were, enjoying. Sorry, I'm just getting emails. We used to go out and enjoy having a punch up with people, and then if there was no one to have a punch up with, we'd have it with each other. I remember once. His girlfriend, we were in the middle of the street. We're 18. I mean, I was probably 16. He was 18. We were literally taking lumps out of each other, laughing. And I think he just met this girl, and she was like, "What the hell are these guys doing?" But we've grown up since then. We've grown up. We don't have full fist combat with each other anymore. But it was good. We grew up very close, and it's lovely to be able to share a passion with someone that you love, it's nice to have someone in the business that has your back, you have yours, I have theirs.
When was the last time you and Kalle had a fight?
2 years ago. 2
years ago? Explain details.
Oh, I don't want to go into that. We just, just have a few drinks, have a fight. No, nothing serious. And then, you have a hug afterwards. It's how brothers deal with things, isn't it? I mean, perhaps not when they're 38 or I can't remember how old we were, a couple of years ago, but it's the way, Yeah, do you have a brother or a sister, Rob?
I have 3 sisters, but they'd all beat me up.
Oh, exactly. Well, look, my household at the moment is full of women, so I appreciate this chat. It's nice to talk to a man and men. It's just Barbie all day at the moment.
With as well. You man, proper begging Eddie to go live the other day. Damn right, I was begging Eddie. I don't have his phone number, so I have to do what I can. Well, we've got some interesting questions. We're going to try and dodge all of the Nisse versus Kalle fantasy fight questions. Here's a question from Hook. It's a best kept secret out of Germany or Eastern Europe. Do Germany and Eastern Europe.
I would say at the moment, we've got some very good fighters in Germany. I would say, look, in all honesty, Germany is in a bit of a lull with talent coming through. But there's some very, very talented guys on our books that maybe some people haven't heard about. There's Abbas Barral, who's training with Adam Booth. Abbas Barral fought the O2. He stopped, I think, in the 4th round. John O'Donnell. He's a very, very talented light middleweight. We've got guys like Leon Bunn, Leon Bauer, Patrick Wojcicki. Trying to think who else we have. Dennis Radovan, of course. And,
he now trains at Steel City Gym in Sheffield, doesn't he?
No, he's moved back to Germany.
Has he?
Germany. Yeah. I think he just got married. I think you have to ask him, but I think it was nice. It was quite hard, the whole move and stuff. But Sophie Alisch is one to look out. I believe you've done a few pieces on her.
We have, yeah. We get on as well at some point this week.
Yeah, she's unbelievable. I mean, the stuff this girl does, that she does in the gym, like these juggling things, like the coordination and the hand speed and everything. Everyone's very excited about her. And then I would say Eastern Europe. We have, if you count Croatia as Eastern Europe, I don't know, but Filip Hrgovic, who we believe is the best heavyweight out there. And we had a fight planned for the 17th of April. For obviously reasons that's fallen through, but yeah, I mean, look, he'll be back very strong. He's had a busy career so far. He's ranked very highly with everyone. I wouldn't be fighting him. I'm trying to think. The lightweight's very exciting at the moment. I mean, just all those guys out there coming through as well. I mean, the lightweights. What's his name? Devin Haney, the guy with Top Rank.
Teofimo.
Yeah, Teofimo Lopez, but no, then the other. Oh no, he's super featherweight, isn't he? What's Davis? Javonte Davis.
He's moved up to lightweight now.
As he moved up to lightweight, yeah. So I mean, there's some good guys coming through it that way as well. And you also got Luke Campbell over here. Yeah, Lomachenko is unbelievable. But that Lopez against Lomachenko fight, that was meant to happen on May 29th, wasn't it?
May 30th, I think. Yeah.
May 30th. Oh, my birthday. My birthday.
Really? You could have gone out there.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Well, you could have. It's not going to happen now, obviously. But
I could have gone out there. I don't know. I'm leaving my house. It's quite funny. I've got like these group chats with my friends. Like I'm sure everyone does, but I just keep texting into the group. So what's everyone up to tonight? Everyone's like, "Fuck off and just leave me alone." No one can actually leave.
Oh, we've got Tom Dallas is actually in the chat now. So if you need any help with any names,
yeah.
on hand to help anybody out.
Yeah, good stuff.
Just go back to you were talking about Filip Hrgovic. We actually had randomly Tom Little in the chat yesterday, who obviously boxed Filip Hrgovic.
Yeah.
He's boxed, well, not only Filip Hrgovic, obviously he's boxed pretty much everybody. He's kind of like that gatekeeper level that he ends up fighting a lot of these prospects. He said that Filip Hrgovic was by far the hardest puncher he'd been in with, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he said he's the best that he's been in with, whether it's sparring or fighting. Now, obviously, in the past, you guys have not been scared to push Hrgovic and push him through the ranks as quickly as possible. Realistically, how far away do you think he'll be from a world title shot?
Do you know, I've said this before. I don't think anyone's going to pick to fight Hrgovic, and I don't blame them for not picking to fight someone like Hrgovic. If I was in any of the champs' positions at the moment, you'd be like, why? It's just a massive risk. I think we need to just pick our route and become a mandatory. I don't think we can. I don't think we can expect people to take a fight without being a mandatory.
How do you get into that position? Because obviously it's not like, particularly at the minute with the mandatories are already kind of sewn up. It's that kind of second tier of heavyweights that are starting to fight each other. Yet,
exactly.
Trying to get that big fight, that big kind of breakout fight to get his name out there against, for example, a Povetkin, a Michael Hunter, probably a Luis Ortiz around that kind of level. How far away do you think he is from getting those?
I just don't. Why would Povetkin want to fight Hrgovic when he can fight against Dillian White, who's about the same level? Well, in my opinion, not, but whatever. Conceived for more money. There's there's no point, and sorry, it's not a Corona cough. Don't worry. And then a Hunter we accepted already. He wants crazy money. Who's the other person?
Just anybody on that kind of level.
Ortiz is PBC. Yeah, they all want a lot of money at the moment to fight someone like Hrgovic, and I don't blame them, to be honest. I don't blame them.
Sophie Alisch is in the chat. She says, "Hi, boss." Give her a wave.
Hi, Sophie. How are you? If people don't know who Sophie Alisch is, please go and follow her now. She is massive talent from Germany, and her videos are very entertaining. She does some really interesting training training styles, and she juggles. She hits the pads. Hits the pads. I think all boxers hit the pads, but I mean, she hits the pads very ferociously. And she's only 18 years old. And she's had 4 fights, I believe. 5th one coming. Tom, am I right? I can't Google.
Yeah, that's for people who are wondering who Tom Dallas is. It means you haven't, for shame, seen the interview that we did with him. He's one of the best kept secrets in all of boxing, really. The youngest matchmaker in British boxing at one point. He's not that young anymore, but anyway.
Well, he's 25, isn't he? Pretty young.
Yeah, he's like me. He's his actual age and what he looks like are 2 different things entirely.
How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
32.
It's closer than I usually get. 29.
29.
29, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
This is a boxing man's 29. But anyway,
yeah, I'm 28. What can I say?
Tom Lyon says, "Have you been targeting some of the Uzbek/Kazakhs from the 2021 Olympic cycle now that everything has been pushed back? Also, what do you think of Florian Marku?"
Florian Marku is sorry, is he trained by Don Charles?
I don't know who trains Florian Marku. I've seen him fight a few times, but I don't know who trains him.
Oh no, wait, there's Josh Burnham training. If I've got the right guy, is he from Romania?
Albanian, I believe.
Albanian, okay. I think I know who he is, and I think he's very good. If it's the same person I'm talking about, he's from like North London.
Yeah, he sells a lot of tickets. Albanian. Yeah. Welterweight.
Okay, yeah, no, I know he's good. He's very good. And then Ori, the Olympians, of course. You know, I think a lot of guys will be turning over now, just because you're gonna wait another year. You know, it depends what if you're 26, 27, you're coming into your prime years. You might want to, and you don't have a guarantee to go to the Olympics. I think a lot of people will turn over. So let's see. Keep tabs on it. It's what you can do. But it's just it's hard to sort of be out there signing fighters when you're like when you're at the same time you're like, oh yeah, I can give you this date on when. But it's like I said. Look, we're in it. For me, it's I do a lot of weekends away every year, so it's actually quite nice to be at home for like a couple of weeks. I'm training every day in the garden. I've done like my whole set up a proper gym out there. So I'm quite peaceful indoors at the moment. I'm finding things to do.
That makes one of us. I'm absolutely hating it. But anyway,
my wife hates me. My wife. Yeah, no, I mean don't even ask on that subject.
Tom Lyon says, "What's your connection with Stonebridge Boxing Club, and what do you think of the talent coming from amateur London gyms?"
My connection with Stonebridge was, I live in Kensal Rise. It's obviously very near Stonebridge. And I read an article on the front page of our local newspaper, the Brent. I think it's the Brent, or no, is it the Kilburn Times? One of them. And so I live in between Brent and Kilburn. And the boxing gym was closing down. It said call Ali, Mr. Ali at the time. It was called Mr. Ali, to make some donations if you can help keep it open. This is about 9 years ago, I think. So obviously I gave them a ring, supported them for the last 8 or 9 or however long years it is, and we have produced a few good guys out of there now. They, and look, it was never a project to make money out of. It was always a project to help the community. Because I know from me growing up, it always kept me very focused at school to do exercise, and then also on the deeper level and the worst level, you have very bad knife crime issues in London at the moment. And without sounding like a massive cliche, I do believe that boxing can help those problems, and I've seen it firsthand at Stonebridge. So now they're actually turning over very good fighters. You've got Mikel Lawal, cruiserweight. You've got a guy called, what's his full name? Kola. Kola is very good. I think he's had 2 pro fights. Then there is another guy in the amateurs who's very good called Andre. Can't remember his exact name, but he's very, very strong. And then, sorry, I went off on a tangent there. I'm sure you guys all have a lot of time on your hands anyway, so. No, I'm just trying to think. Oh yeah, amateurs in the UK, in London. I haven't had my finger to the pulse as much as I would have liked with the other clubs. Obviously, Dale Youth was right next to my kid's school, so it's just there. I remember seeing Daniel Dubois up there as an amateur, but I haven't, if I'm honest. And actually, that's something, maybe in times like this, you actually you have time to reflect on what you've been what you'd like to be doing more, and that's actually studying a bit more of the game again, because you can get distracted. You're working with champions, you're working with professionals who are highly developed, and going into world title fights, but then you take your eye off the amateurs coming through, and that's obviously something I've done. So thank you, Tom Lyons, for that.
Matthew Phil says, what one thing in boxing that you have been excited to try and pull off and it's ended up failing in doing so?
Wow, that's a good question. I think we announced Kessler's comeback a couple of years back, and we were all very excited with it. And then he got Lyme's disease, which is it's a tick, when it's from a tick bite. So it's I mean, something you get. I don't think it's very common in the UK. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in Scandinavia, he was training with Erik Skoglund at the time, sparring there in Sweden. And he went running in the forest, and there it's quite common to get ticks, and a lot of them carry Lyme's disease. That kind of put him in hospital. Thankfully, they caught it quite early because it can be a lot worse, and that scuppered the comeback, which was obviously very gutting. I'm trying to think of any others. I mean, that's probably the worst one at the moment, in fresh memory.
You mentioned Erik Skoglund there.
Actually, no. What am I talking about? The World Super Series final.
Oh God! I was supposed to be coming to
I was so excited, but that's obviously, it's been moved to May 16th. So fingers crossed on that one. That's one for my brother, though.
Yeah.
Skoglund.
You mentioned Erik Skoglund. Last time he was in London, I caught up with him. How's he doing?
Eric's doing very well. I speak to him on a regular basis. He is, yeah, no, he's, he wants to make a comeback. He's training every day, and he's obsessed with coming back. Yeah, I mean that's where he's at the moment in his head, and I think that's what he needs to have the belief that there is a chance he can make the comeback. Sorry, I'm just clicking my neck. I speak to him a lot, and I have advised him against it. But I'm not going to take a man's dream away from him. It's up to a doctor or to the licensing board to do that. But at the same time, I've said I don't agree with it. But I think he needs that little push in his life, and I mean that's good. I think he needs to be involved in boxing. You've got too much insight, too much knowledge not to pass down to new fighters. And I think look, he needs to be involved in the sport. You'd be an asset, and I think he'd be a great trainer as well. At the end, he was actually training himself, literally training himself. The Callum Smith fight, he was his own trainer. So it's pretty impressive. He did all right against Callum. I thought it was a close fight. Had Callum in a bit of trouble, I think, early on. Within the first 6 rounds, he was in a bit of trouble. Yeah, but it's obviously, for me, that's probably the hardest things I've had in boxing, apart from Eddie Guknecht. Obviously Eddie didn't make a recovery like Eric. But it's always hard to see anyone in those situations.
We mentioned Mikhail Kessler. I've actually got a question which is going to make you squirm a little bit. But Mikhail Kessler versus Arthur Abraham at 168, who wins?
Yeah, but what time are their lives?
The best version of either of them at 168. So
at 168.
The first fight for Mikhail Kessler, maybe?
Kessler wins, I think.
Too big?
Yeah. I think, listen, if you give me, are you going to think, Abraham at middleweight against prime Abraham, middleweight against Golovkin prime, I'd say it's a very close 50-50 fight.
Really?
Yeah. At middleweight, he was go and look at his fights. He was lazy, but power. He could knock anyone out. But I think moving up in weight. Sorry, this chair's so bloody uncomfortable. Yeah, I think he lost his power, obviously, going up to super middleweight.
You were obviously around and particularly had your finger on the pulse in German boxing when Gennady Golovkin was still based out of Germany and coming up through the ranks as a middleweight. What was that like? Were the whispers there all the time about Golovkin? Because obviously he was in position to box Felix Sturm for a while. And what was it like kind of having him coming through the German scene at that time?
No, look, we tried to, I'm pretty sure we tried to sign him at the time. But yeah, I think we signed with Universal, didn't we? Yeah, I mean, it's probably a big mistake we didn't sign him because he wasn't. I mean, for him, I would say that it was probably a good thing you didn't sign with us. Just saying, because he got the American market, and I think that's what's made him. I'm not saying that we can't make someone in America. That's not true. I think if you look at Kessler or Filip Hrgovic, he's getting a name there as well. But I think at the time, Golovkin, he went to HBO, didn't he? I think that really opened some inroads for him rather than just staying in Germany. But saying that, if he would have stayed in Germany, he would have probably become something like an Abraham out there, which is, about 10 million people watching on TV, which isn't a bad thing either. But yeah, no, Golovkin was, highly touted, and yeah, I mean, I still think he'll beat Alvarez in the next fight, depending on how he comes in.
What did you make of his performance against Sergei Derevianchenko? Because I thought that there was some definite signs of slipping in that fight.
Yeah, but also if you're, I didn't watch the fight. I know it was quite close. But you know, he's a tough guy, Derevchenko. But at the same time, I think he needs to be up for a fight. Some of these guys need to just simply be up for it. Look at Billy Joe; he needs to be up for a fight. You know, it's if he fights someone, you know, average or whatever, not average. I'm not saying Derevchenko's average at all.
Yeah, I know.
You know, they'll do just enough to win. I think he's at that age now, Golovkin. I think he's probably slipping a bit, but I think he needs a challenge, and I think that's going to be a Billy Joe. It's going to be Andrade maybe, or Alvarez is obviously the obvious one. But you know, you need to still feel that you need something to get your teeth into. You need something to get you going when you've sort of seen everything, and you need something, not another tough opponent. You know, there's no glamour to that fight, was there? It was, you know, it kind of went under the radar, but it wasn't a big fight. I think he needs a big fight to get his teeth into. And now that's, for me, the most obvious one's Alvarez at the moment.
How do you see the kind? Obviously, we were getting ready for the Billy Joe Canelo announcement, and then there's been a lot of talk about Canelo Golovkin trilogy fight coming in September. How do you see that all playing out? Do you imagine Billy Joe Saunders has potentially missed the boat with the Canelo fight with all of this, or do you still see that?
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to predict what all this is going to do. I know that we're ready and waiting with Zach Parker, who I think is probably the most unsung boxer in the UK at the moment. Actually, yeah, we should talk about UK boxing. I mean, Zach is, you know, put on a great performance against Murdoch, and you know, if it comes as in the Billy Joe fight or whoever, really, you know, we'll be up for it. So obviously, it could play quite nicely into our hands if that happened. But I just want this shit to go. You know, I want everyone to be home safe. I want the world to stop moving again. But until that happens, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, I mean, I saw Billy Joe got in a bit of trouble with the post, you know, and I don't know what's going to happen there. But I mean, he can get licensed in another country, really, can't he? So I don't think it's really going to stop him from fighting. Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Hook Jab Boxing says, thoughts on Peter Milash?
Peter Milash is a Croatian former kickboxer, and I think heavyweight. He's raw. He's strong. Yeah, I would say he's the second best Croatian heavyweight out there at the moment. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely raw. He needs a few more fights before he can sort of challenge the upper tiers of boxing, of heavyweight boxing.
Him versus Hrgovic, I'd imagine, would be a big fight in Croatia, built properly, maybe 18 months down the line?
I would like to think that 18 months down the line, we'd be fighting Joshua. You know, with Milas can, yeah, maybe first defense of the world title in Croatia. Or we do it now, you know. But I think, like I said, I think it could be interesting in a couple of years' time. Once Milas has, you know, had a few more learning fights, and you know, Filip gets a world title, then do it in Croatia.
Just trying to get some of these. I was trying to pick some questions while my daughter's screaming in the background. That's fine.
Come on, mate.
Ghost 0080 says, do you think Spurs will get top 4?
What position are we now? Like 9th, 8th. I just find it's just Liverpool is just like this. I mean, I've got a few friends who are Liverpool fans, and it's just so funny. After all the fucking amazing season they've had, and they're going to lose it now. Spurs are not going to get top four, I don't think, this year. I think that Spurs are basically, they've had a terrible season. I don't think Jose's the wrong man for the job. I just think he's been very unlucky. You know, he walked into a team that was. You know what? It depends. If we go back now from this break, and we actually have the season, and all our guys are fit, it could actually play into our advantage. I just hope they're doing their rehab correctly and getting themselves fit, like Kane, Son, etc. But I hate to say it, I think we miss Eriksen a little bit. You know, we haven't filled that hole. I know he wasn't playing that well towards the end, but the Eriksen of last season was, he was unstoppable. So I don't know. Let's see how long this break lasts, because I think in some ways, if it goes back now, it could be in Spurs' advantage, because we needed a little rest, for our players to get back.
D and Davis UK says best female prospect at the moment.
What, signed with us?
Anyone?
Signed with anyone? I mean, I would say signed with anyone. She signed with us, and that's Sophie Alisch, 18 years old. Again, please go and check her out. Dean? I don't know. Dean? I can't see it. Are they meant to come on?
Dean Davis. Dean Davis. Sorry, it's difficult to read these names sometimes. Dean Davis UK. Sorry, Dean.
You sure it's not Deanne?
I think it's Dean, probably.
Deanne on a Saturday. So I just keep getting phone calls. What was the question? Best female prospect. Sophie Alisch, 18 years old. Signed with Team Sauerland. No, she's very, very talented, and I think you're going to see a lot of her. We have obviously as well. She's not really a prospect. She's Katarina Tander. She's a WBC interim champ. We almost had a fight with what's the girl from? Is it from Doncaster? It's
Terry Harper.
Terry Harper. That was almost done, the deal, but they backed out for whatever. They were fighting Natasha Jonas. That's it. But hope to have that fight soon. Very good fight. I think for me, the youngest and best prospect is Sophie Alisch from Germany. She is a sensation, absolute sensation.
Ferocious.
I mean, she's like the sweetest 18-year-old girl, but then she literally, she rips that bag apart. I just recommend go and follow her. Sophie Alisch, S-O-P-H-I-E, Sophie Alisch, A-L-L-I-S-C-H, for those of you who cannot spell like me. Give her a follow. She's like posts very good videos, and she's like I said, she's a massive prospect.
Declan Green 94 says, have you done any scouting for new fighters in Scotland? A good few fighters coming through at the moment. Surely there's top talent not getting spotted.
I mean, like we've seen in the UK, there's a lot of top talent. There's not, or the UK, sorry, it is UK. We had Zach Parker, who was an untapped talent, kind of just went unnoticed and then we signed him. I think 5 fights later, he's WBO #1, and he's on the verge of fighting one of the best fighters out there, Billy Joe Saunders, for the world title. I think this happens a lot. I mean, I was actually saying to another Jordan Thompson, who I look after, manage. Very, very good cruiserweight. We signed with Frank Warren, so he's not really gone unnoticed. But I was saying to him the other day, I said, look, you know, there's so much talent in the UK. It's ridiculous, and the amount of talent that goes unnoticed. Another one, Darren Surtees up in Newcastle, near Scotland. You know, he was in the ultimate box. He was in the golden ticket, and he knocked down Mamune in the second round, I think. And I think inexperience got away with him, but he's a hell of a fighter who not many people know about. So what I'm trying to say is the depth of talent in England and Scotland and Ireland and, you know, all over Wales even. Not even Joe Cordina, great fighter. Joe Calwagi, great fighter. Enzo Nacarinelli, great fighter. You have a lot of good fighters. But what I'm trying to say is that there is so much talent that's not being tapped up. And I've had a few talks with a few people, you know, that may be creating some kind of, you know, I just feel like there should be a small hall concept to build these guys where they don't, you know, listen, you need to sell tickets in boxing at the beginning of your career. There's no way, especially in the UK, there is no way of getting around that. But there needs to be a way for these guys to get fights, to build their records, to get the experience, without, you know, busting their balls, basically. You know, I think, you know, you have Goodwin, you have Steve Wood, you have a lot of these guys doing small hall shows, and they're doing a great job. But they can't take on all the work themselves. You know, there needs to be a platform for these guys to have less stress about fighting on a show, because, you know, getting in a ring is stress enough. Oh God, I'm not on it. Hello. Hi. So, Clemmy?
Hey!
Yeah? No, she's shy. Clemmy? Dada's on the phone. What? Okay, sorry, mate, carry on.
That's okay. I think everybody's in the same boat at the minute.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's
Lee Eaton says hello. Hello, Lee Eaton. How are you?
Lee! How are you, mate?
I tell you what, I said to you at the start of this that you don't seem to be the type of guy to enjoy a lockdown. Lee Eaton is exactly the type of person.
He doesn't like it. Yeah. No. I was going to say, Lee Eaton must be one of the busiest. I missed him out. He must be one of the busiest men in boxing. He does a great job for MGK. And they're doing a great job in boxing.
Go, Nisse, go.
What?
Go, Nisse, go. I'll answer your daughter.
No. What's up? Camera? It doesn't work, babe. It doesn't work. God, look, it doesn't turn on. It doesn't switch on. I've got to find another charger for it, okay? I'll come in a minute. She wants her camera. It doesn't work though. Sorry.
White Rhino. So Dave Allen is here. Rob Sebert. Dave. I've been good friends with Dave Allen for a few years, and he still can't spell my surname right.
As in Dave's the heavyweight.
Dave Allen, yeah.
Mate, we've got friends in common. I worked at Babe Station. When I was at university.
You told me this, yeah.
Yeah, when I was at university, my night job was I was a producer at Babe Station. So a lot of my friends still work in Milton Keynes where the studios are. So I think Dave goes in there. He's
been on there, yeah.
Brilliant.
Dave Station.
Brilliant. That's a great service. I bet they're doing absolute numbers at the moment. It must be booming business.
We'll move away from Babe Station talk.
Mate, what's that? Babe Station can never be moved away from.
If you could make Declan Green 94, so some good questions, Declan Green. If you could make a super series in any past era of boxing, what weight and who would be in it?
That's one for my brother, obviously, because he deals with the super series.
But your opinion still counts too, Nisse.
Oh, that's really kind of you, man. But yeah, no, I've got no say really. But I'll tell you what my dream at the moment. I think it'd be really exciting to do a lightweight with all the guys at the moment. But I think it'd be just very, very difficult to. This is a dream, yeah. This is a dream. But you know, with all the guys involved, I think that would be a very hard thing to make. But, you know, like we were discussing before, the lightweight division's on fire at the moment. And what was my guy's name again that I like from lightweight?
You like Shakram Giasov, but somebody pointed out that he's now fighting for ranking titles at 140. He did turn over as a lightweight. I've seen him box.
So,
He boxed on the Joshua Povetkin undercard as a lightweight. So yeah, he's at 140. But who's going to be your lineup at 135?
fucking hell. Well, you got Haney, you got Lomachenko, Lopez,
Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia, the guy who just moved up from Super Feather, we just spoke about.
Davis.
Yeah, Gervonta Davis, Luke Campbell. And then what? That's 6 or 7. And then who would you put in? I mean, you're going to find someone, aren't you?
Javier Fortuna's due to box Luke Campbell for the vacant WBC, so we can put him in there.
Yeah, well, you could put in. What about there's any super feathers that could go up? Zucan to get the Chinese.
Kanzu's down at featherweight. Super feathers.
Oh, he's super feather.
Somebody like Miguel Berchelt, I don't think he's going to move up.
No.
It'd be good to see him up there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you'd find a spot, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Dylan Terry, 1605. Any idea where the Klitschko return rumour surfaced from?
Social media? Like anything, I think there's social media is the main instigator of these things. So I was taking a camera off. I don't know. From himself posting training videos, I don't think he'll come back. But I mean, if there's crazy money involved, then maybe he will, which I'm sure there would be. But I mean, he lost his last 2 fights, didn't he? So
yeah,
to Fury and to Joshua, which is, you know, it's pretty conclusive. That I mean, he didn't lose in a bad way. He did well, but I mean, how long ago was that? 3 years ago?
Mm.
How old would he be now? 43?
I think older.
Little Google. You got Google there?
I got a laptop here. Klitschko. He is 44 now.
44. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's not like the type of guy to go and eat at Burger King every night.
Mm.
So I think, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna get out of this now. Sorry, mate.
You're okay, mate. No worries.
Trying to log out of my fucking laptop.
Anyway, question from Jordan Pollock. 40 years in boxing for Team Sauerland this year. How did Mr. Sauerland get into the fight game in Africa? Good question, Jordan.
It was I have to put this down now to get into this. So the story goes, have you not interviewed my dad before, Rob?
No, I met him in Saudi, but he was eating lunch at the time.
He did MT, not he did IFL, didn't he? Yeah. IFL. No. So he basically he was doing a deal in Zambia with the government, and it was quite a big deal. And he was right at the last minute. He can correct me if I'm wrong. They sort of just chucked into the deal, said, "Oh, like total red herring. Yeah, you've got to put on a show with our Olympians." And I think that was Lottie Moale, who went on to fight Said Mohammed. I think he fought him. Just correct me if I'm wrong, and one other guy, and they my dad was like, yeah, fuck it, sign on the dotted line. And he so they ended up, he was like, shit, how do I put a show on? He remembered a few weeks previously he'd been in a nightclub in London called Tramp. Do you remember Tramp? I mean, it's still going. It's like a very old school, trendy nightclub. You know, visited by royalty and whatever. Oh, I think Prince Andrew was there before. I think that's let's not mention him, eh? No, he was in that nightclub, and he met old school promoter by the name of Mickey Duff. And he remembered that. He's like, shit, okay, I'm gonna put this show on. So he called up Mickey. So listen, I need to put a show on in Lusaka. I think it's Lusaka. Is that the capital of Zambia? Yeah, I think so. I need to put a show on here. Can you help me? Doesn't matter what it costs. Put it on. So he put it on in the middle of Lusaka, and about 70,000 people turned up. Obviously, it was at the time, and I think it still is, but it's quite a poor country. So no one bought tickets. Obviously, show lost money and whatever else. But I mean, you see these amazing images of the fight. I can send you a clip actually of the fight, and there's thousands and thousands of people there. And yeah, he got the bug from that. So I think he signed Lottie Moala with Mickey Duff. Signed a couple of other fighters with him, including John Mugabe, who obviously trained over here with. All right, Craig Kelly. Craig Kelly's, I believe, is watching this. Craig Kelly was a big celebrity. He was a good friend of Joe Calzaghe's as well. Look, we're just enticing them all in here. So anyway, my old man. So he had John Mugabe with Mickey Duff. So he got the bug, and he was based in London at the time. So yeah, he got the bug from that. Had a German fighter called Rene Vella, and then it sort of, yeah, he was about to get out of it, and then he was like, okay, we lost a lot of money in it. And he's like, look, one more roll of the dice. It was the 92 Olympics when Henry Masker came through. 92, I think. I can't remember exactly. 92, I think. And signed Henry Masker and Axel Schulz. And they obviously went on to be massive, massive stars. You know, 20 million people watching them on TV when they fought, having cheeses named after them. But yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. You know, I remember one show we had Playboy sponsored it. So you had 12 rounds and you had 12 months of playmates. So you had Miss January, Miss February. It was unbelievable. I was buffer, you'll remember that. So yeah, no, that's how he got into it. And then, you know, obviously did very well in Germany. Yeah, it's hasn't looked back.
Okay, well, we're coming up to an hour now where it actually cuts you off. So I'm going to try and put one more question out.
Yeah.
Try and think of a good question. I'll tell you what, if there's anybody who's desperate to ask one now, then speak now. Okay, right, we're going to go with this last one from Matthew Phil. Out of all of the fighters / promoters you've worked with, what's the one fighter / promoter you've fallen out with where there was no coming back, only to work with them again? You don't have to mention any names. Or do situations like that happen?
Of course they happen, yeah. But for some reason, we've always kept ourselves quite... I mean, my old man's a different story, but we've always been quite pragmatic and kind of dealt with situations and dealt with them as honestly and well as possible. So, I mean, I don't want to sit on the fence. I know they nicknamed me On the Fence, Nisse Sauerland. But I would... There's no one really. I mean, look, things didn't end the best with Robert Helenius, but he had weird advisors, which happens with most fighters. They'll get someone in their ear who doesn't know anything about boxing, and then tell them that they need to be earning more, and then take 10% out of that or whatever percent out of that. You're just like, boxers need to have one voice they listen to, that they trust in there. You know, it doesn't have to be the promoter; it can be the advisor, but make sure that advisor's doing good for you. You know, not some hyped up lawyer who, you know, thinks he knows everything in life, which he probably does, but he doesn't know boxing because it's totally unique. It's a unique sport. You know, you probably fight for 3 years before you can earn like serious money, you know, if you're good. And also, actually, an old fact, my dad's old best mate, Cedric Kushner, great promoter, he used to say 2% of boxers make 98% of the money. It's obviously not accurate, but you got to understand that there's so many guys out there fighting who aren't earning much, but then you got the guys at the top. If you make it in boxing, you make it more than any sport in the world. Like people like Floyd Mayweather or Canelo or Joshua can show you. Yeah, but the chance of that happening, it's hard.
It certainly is. Okay, I think we're about to be cut off. So, Nisse Sauerland, thanks very much for stopping by. Thanks to everybody for stopping by and all your questions.
Be kind to everyone out there.